Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to today's conversation on Gift of Healing TV. I'm Sara Jane, and I'm delighted to be joined by my co-host, Scott. Scott, welcome.
Thank you.
And our two guests, Laurie Morin. Laurie, hi. And Janette Stuart. Hi, Janette.
Hi there.
Lovely to have you both with us. Our topic is the gifts of wisdom found within life's experiences, because each and every one of us are authors in gifts of wisdom. And Laurie, bless her, hasn't got her copy for some reason. But she's definitely one of us. And we're going to be talking today about rewriting old stories to liberate self-love, healing, and creativity, and daily practices for healing and self-care. But before we start that, I'm going to let our two guests do a little introduction of themselves. Just share a little about yourselves. So, Laurie, let's start with you.
Well, thank you so much for having me on this wonderful show. I am a happily retired law professor, and I'm spending my time these days exploring all the things that I gave up when I was a professional. So that is mostly writing, but it's also all kinds of healing and spirituality practices that I used to be into when I was younger and ended up not having the time for when I was a busy career person. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Janette.
Hi. Thanks for having me today. And today's my birthday and my sister's birthday. So, where else would I want to be but spending time with you guys? So it was fun. I got to meet Scott and Laurie in person at the Writers Retreat in May when we were working on the How to Be Brave book, and met Sara during the Gift of Wisdom process. So we have just had such a great connection. So it's going to be a great conversation today. I'm in California, and today I'm at my sister's house, dog sitting for her while she's on vacation. So life is good.
Thank you to you both. Scott, I'm going to hand over to you.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be in the company of three esteemed women. And what I found, and I love the topics of today, rewriting your old stories and rituals. And I found that in my life that one allows the other. And that is, in the morning, I do rituals of yoga, meditation, different modalities that I've learned over the time, which help me bring me to a different perspective, that it helps me rewrite my old stories because I look at them in a different perspective. Mm-hmm. Janette, what rituals do you have or do you use that enables you to be able to do all of the creative things that you normally do?
So, yes, I have a morning practice also, Scott, that's really non-negotiable for me. But one of the things when you were talking, it reminded me of when I say something and I don't want that to be my truth anymore, I rewrite that immediately. I'm like, edit, undo that, and think of a better way to say it. Because I know, as writers, right, we know the power of our words, and that when we say those words out loud, it even magnifies them more. So I like to rewrite as I go along and say, oh, wait, I want to change that. So, that is a real important part about rewriting our stories and leading to the outcome that I am more desirous of.
Wow. That takes an awful lot of presence, by the way, to be able to say, whoops, stop, time out, edit, rewrite.
Yeah.
That's strong presence. That's amazing. And Laurie, what about yourself?
Well, yes, I think that's brilliant, Janette. And in a way, my morning practice that I've had for many years is similar I've written morning pages every day for many, many years. And usually what happens, and it's really what's supposed to happen, is you come out with a litany of whining and complaints. Everything that, you're not happy about with yourself and with your life. And it's an opportunity to immediately say, no, wait a minute, this is not the perspective I want to have, and to change it right there on the page in front of you. So I don't do that so much anymore. I have a practice now of drawing a tarot card in the morning and writing about that. And when the weather's really nice, my morning practice is to do a meditative walk outside.
Beautiful. What about you, Sara?
Oh, I have a morning practice and I have an evening practice. What they say is you have to ask for help and support, of the angels, creator, of people. People aren't mind readers, and the angels, etc., cannot help you if you don't ask. And they obviously, if they can't help you outside of your chosen experiences, but they can potentially help you through them, they can't take them away. And so I very much go into gratitude. I ask support, but the support isn't just for me. In fact, I'm very good at, I'm almost an afterthought, but I do add me in there. I ask for support for everybody, for the world, for the planet, for nature. It's just a morning routine that takes quite a while. So it happens I tend to be doing my breakfast while I'm still finishing it off, but it's a part of a routine, and it would never feel right to me not to do it. It is, if I'm away and I'm going to be interrupted by others and I can't have sufficient me time, then I put a little proviso in. I'm going to shorten it, guys, but I mean exactly what I say every morning or every evening or whatever. But it is about gratitude. And what you were saying, Janette, things like getting cut up in the car, somebody pulls out in front of you, and it's just like, I allow myself the humanness of the grumble. I release to the light with love. We're here to be human. We're here to have those aspects of us. I think that's why I was given lead boots, because I was so wanting to fly off planet. And it was like, no, you're meant to be here, stay here. So part of my morning routine is to ground, but I also connect to source. And so I have that flow of energy. I don't know what it does. I am not prepared to risk stopping doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a routine does. In some respects, it's a security, isn't it? But it's a focus as well. It's not just a matter of rolling out of bed and getting on with the day. By having that routine of that request for support and that gratitude for everything in your life, and the fact that you woke up this morning, it's all part and parcel to me.
You've always been that very gracious in every connection that you have, Sara. And that's through observation, but through years of communication, you are always gracious and have gratitude in everything that you do, and it shows. And obviously it's your practice. Gratitude. There are a few things that when we all deal with people, there's a few things that we kind of anchor on. For me, gratitude has always been one of those heaviest ones, because when I was at my worst and at my lowest, I walked into a meeting and they said, we're going to talk about gratitude. And I want you to tell us 3 things you're grateful for. And at that moment in my life, I could not think of one. And in this day, if someone says, what am I grateful for? I could go on for about 2 hours. And it's a matter of perspective and understanding. Mm-hmm. I know that, Ms. Janette, I know that you pull the cards. I have a lovely deck from you, the Angels cards. I have a lovely deck that you had given me as when we were in New York that I use. And talk a little bit about that.
Ooh, yeah, when Sarah talked about or I guess it was Laurie, we're talking about the Oracle and Tarot cards. So yesterday I did a couple of self-care sessions with clients, and I just brought this angel card deck with me, the Healing with the Angels. And so I just pulled one for us because it felt like a nudge. So the card is celebration. So celebration, right? Like
Your birthday.
It's my birthday. We're alive. We're here now. We came here for for a mission to be here at this certain time, and like to gaze at the beauty of creation, the beauty of the moon, and it reminds me of being grounded. Sarah, you talked about being grounded, being here now. So that just feels really important. I used to, when I first started working with angel cards, I would pull an angel card every 10 minutes. Like it was like, oh, I need guidance. And then little by little, I was able to more trust my inner wisdom, and so I don't always draw an angel card where I used to. I was like Laurie, I love the work of Julia Cameron and the artist's way of writing the morning pages. So yeah, it's like freeing you to put those thoughts aside and to like intentionally choose what it is that I want the day to bring for me. And sometimes angel cards are part of them. So thank you for asking that, Scott. And so if you're watching or here live with us, that card is for you as well. So celebration. And it happens to be my friend's word of the year. And we're both having big birthdays this year. Her milestone birthday is 5 years ahead of mine. So, we're celebrating. And shouldn't we all live our life like it's a celebration? It became really clear to me when I was having my journey with pancreatic cancer that how precious the gift of life is. I always knew it, but when you look death in the face, it changes your perspective. And that's definitely rewriting a story. Maybe back in my 50s, I would have thought 65 was like old, but now I just think, that's rewriting it. I'm just starting. So I'm celebrating the gift of my life.
So you're much like myself. I'm 67 and I have a contract till I'm 100. So I'm only 2/3 of the way through. I still have 30 plus years to go.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna enjoy and live this life as fully as I possibly can every single day. And thank you for reminding me of that. I really like to do that. And Laurie, you are so full of life yourself. Every time that we've spoken, every time that we've connected, you bring a vitality, and it's absolutely wonderful. And how do you maintain that?
Well, I'm grateful to hear that, Scott, because I don't always feel that way, but I do. What you both said resonates so much because I had my own cancer diagnosis a few years ago, and it's one of those things that they can't cure, so they just try to maintain you. But it has totally changed my perspective on life. I wake up every morning, and the first thing I say is, I'm grateful that I'm still here. And it's made me much more aware of being in the present moment. So instead of, I do have to-do lists. I have a lot of to-do lists. But instead of saying, I've got to tick all these things off, I ask myself, what is it that is calling to me to be done today? And if it's not anything on the list, that's fine too. Because the whole point is to be here and to enjoy this gift that we've been given.
Wow, absolutely. Miss Sara.
Well, I love the fact you've got that celebration card, because every month I channel a message from the mythical beings. And for April, it's going to be the Yeti. And the very beginning of that message is acknowledge, accept, and celebrate your differences.
Wow. That gives me angel bumps. Wow.
So I love the universe. I love the synchronicities, because that sentence came through so strongly before I even started the main channeling, because I always record myself channeling that message. So it is literally as I am recording it, it comes through. And that was the beginning of it. But I was given that before. Just as I was about to go out for a walk, I thought, no, I've got to write that down, because I thought that is actually so powerful, because it is about us having the confidence within ourselves, letting go of the old unwanted behaviors. You know, you say rewriting the old stories to liberate self-love, healing, and creativity. Creativity is a massive part of it. Mm-hmm. How come we seem to have lost our ability to be so creative? But that's what we're meant to be. Mm-hmm. We are creative beings. Mm-hmm. And when we tap into, it doesn't have to be any good. It just has to be enjoyable for us. You know, I am no artist, yet a couple of pieces as a child that I did were amazing, but for whatever reason. But it's just a matter of allow yourself. You know, when a child very first starts, the parents are praising them because, wow, it's the first thing they've ever done. The problem is, mind you, having said that, I can't say I ever liked anything Picasso did, but some people rave about it. It's all a matter of different things speak to different people. It is about our differences. Our differences are what makes this a really interesting journey to be living. Mm-hmm. And so, and yes, we can. Does it have to be rewrite or just unlearn? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, mm-hmm. I was blessed. One of the techniques that I learned is a technique called metamorphic technique. And it's a technique that's the gentlest touch of the feet, the hands, and the head along the spine area. And it helps to change the energy pathways in your body that helps you to let go of old unwanted behaviors that don't serve you any purpose anymore. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to think about it, don't have to talk about it. You can go to sleep during it. And to be a practitioner, not only did I have to offer 50 sessions, I had to receive 20. Mm-hmm. And that, along with the Reiki, was a big part of the start of my healing journey. So it doesn't have to be about metamorphic technique. It is about finding the ways that help you. And I am going to say unpick rather than unpack. Unpick those things that aren't actually you, that you've been told are you. Mm-hmm. Unpick them. Get rid of them. Let go of them. Be grateful for them, but let them go. My saying, I like it, it's release to the light with love. You know, especially when it's a negative energy. Is so you're not just putting more negativity out there. You're wrapping it in love so that it can't bounce back on anybody else. That's how somebody explained it to me, and I thought, I like that.
Mm-hmm. Like that a lot. Mm-hmm. We are all writers, and one of the I've written in 8 books now with Laura, and number 9 is with Miss Sara here. And when I first started writing, I had to tell my story, and it was the hardest thing I ever did because I had to tell it in such a way that people would understand it, and that I would not blame anyone else for my story. That I could just be the storyteller to be able to paint the picture. And every time I wrote a piece, it released me from that story. When I wrote, wanted to write about what I'd been through, my experiences, what my history was. I no longer write about that anymore. I reference it, but I don't tell the story because it no longer serves me. And it's being present in the daily, and writing about gratitude, and writing about curiosity, and writing about faith, and writing about ascension, you name it, whatever comes up, writing about what is in the here and the now and how I see it and perceive it now. And we were all wonderful artists when we were 2, 3, 6, 7, and 8 years old. And somewhere along the line, we stopped doing that creativity. And I find that now I am being my best 18-year-old self in so many aspects. Because I wanted to be a writer when I was in high school. And I stopped completely. And now I'm doing it. I wanted to travel so much. I said I had a family and raised the family. And now I travel. And I wanted to teach because that's what I went to school for. And now I'm teaching. So all of those aspects for me has come up that I am now living my best 18-year-old life. 50 years later, but we're planning our 50th high school reunion, okay? So that puts things in perspective when you look at your classmates and you don't know who any of them are unless they have the picture from when they were back 17 years old.
Yeah, who are all these old people?
Boy, they look really old. I don't know about me, but I look pretty good, but darn, they look old.
Yeah. Oh, golly.
Janette, how are you living your life daily? Because you always bring such a smile. You always have a smile. You always have a kind word. You always have that countenance with you. How do you do that? Is that who you've always been?
I think a lot of it is, that I have like a sweet nature to me. And sometimes along the way, I would try to hide that and be more of a professional, or I need to be an adult. I'm going to put away my childlike wonder and that. And I lost myself along the way when I would do that. And then when I was on the journey of, finding out who I really am and embracing that and celebrating the Janette, because we have so much wisdom. We're such unique creatures in all the universe here for a specific reason. And so my purpose is to be the Janettest Janette I can be. So that's what I try to bring forth is, this is me. And sometimes, like I used to think, I had to be like a certain person. But there's also, like if you admire a quality about somebody, show me how to do that as me. Like, this big speaker or whatever, but I can do it in my way. And when we're creative, that's how we're doing it, right? We're being our authentic self and doing it our way. I feel like Frank Sinatra. I should start singing my way. So did that answer your question, Scott?
Yeah, we've had a few comments that you are, and I love you are the Janettest Janette you can be. But
Thank you.
The story of when we first met is she was struggling with a suitcase going up the stairs. And so I offered to bring it up the stairs for her to give her a hand. And I'm taking it upstairs and I'm thinking, my God, I said, what do you have in here, rocks? And she says, yep.
Yes, and sea glass.
It was sea glass and all of the stones that you had painted that you handed out during the course of the conference, and it was that just started it off so wonderfully.
We have a couple of comments. I'm going to go from the top. Marissa says, we can choose to embrace the energy of celebration and gratitude in every moment of our lives, and we absolutely can. And then Leah, we've got a couple of comments from her. She says, yes, Janette always has that angelic countenance. Be the geneticist, Janette, I can be. So
that is wonderful.
thank you, folks. Lovely to have you here live with us.
Yes,
you.
absolutely. Thank you. But bringing that to you, Laurie, is you taught for years. You taught for years, and you've done a lot of public speaking. You've done a lot of presenting, leading things. How do you bring all of that, or how do you perceive all of that while you're doing what you're doing now for you?
I think that's an interesting question. And I have done a lot of that. And I always struggled with being told stories about how shy I was, how I was too sweet and I was overly sensitive. And being in the legal profession and teaching law, those were not exactly qualities that one aspired to. And I think I did, to some extent, do what you said, Janette, which is try to put on another persona when I was doing it. But now I'm teaching some writing courses on memoir, and I don't do that anymore. I teach the way I am. And I figure the people who are attracted to me as a person will like the way I teach. And there are other people who would not like the way I teach, and that's fine. So, I do think that embracing who we really are, I embrace it. I am quiet. I am not an extrovert, but I love people. I love helping people. I feel like I have something to give, and that's the spirit in which I do everything now. There's no more pretending, and I don't have to be tough anymore, which is great.
I would think teaching in that environment, you had to be pretty tough.
I was pretty non-traditional, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yes. I taught, even when I was teaching law students, for example, I taught how to teach law as right livelihood. So, my message to students was, you're in this because it's a part of your purpose, and don't forget what your purpose is for being here, and give into the attraction of the big money and the power and all of that, because I'm pretty sure that's not why you decided to become a lawyer. So, I had a reputation, even in the law school, of being a little woo-woo for a lawyer.
For a lawyer, yeah.
For a lawyer, yeah.
And we need to bring more humanity into lawyering and into doctoring, I think.
Yes.
We've kind of lost a little bit of that in dealing with the legal system or dealing with the healthcare system.
I totally agree.
But I think we've lost it in so many things. I mean, I was lucky enough to become an area manager within a lighting company who had retail outlets. And as the area manager, I actually made a point of getting to know every single one of the staff in the stores that I managed. And it didn't matter whether they only did a couple of hours at a weekend or whether they were full-time. And I got to know them. But I was still in my very shy persona. I really was. But my confidence was in the fact that I would go around in a suit with a shirt and a tie. And and these most of these because they were concession units in a big DIY store. And one of the girls just said, "We knew you were coming, Sarah, because we could hear you because of my footsteps, because I walked with such purpose and with such confidence. The fact I hadn't got it was beside the point." And I had those that I got on with, but they really trusted me, which was amazing. But I also had those that they knew I would broke no nonsense. And that, there were a couple of times that things happened, and it was just like, it was what it was. If people played fair, I was going to be as fair as they came.
Mm-hmm.
But I found a couple of staff that were stealing, and they went, and they were prosecuted. Not a fun part of the job, but it's what you have to do. But I'd lost myself. I'd lost myself long before then. I lost myself as a baby. And it was finding myself. It was that life quake, that wake up call that actually helped me to find me, to unpick everything that wasn't me. And I can't, poetry, it's not rhyming poetry, but the poetry that I channel, because so much of what I bring, I channel. So those words were channeled earlier today, along with the complete message. And even the piece I've written for my own personal website, not the Mythical Friends website, that's all, I'm sure that's all channeled. I look at the words later I've written, I mean, did I really write that?
Yeah, who wrote this? Yeah.
Don't want to say, "Oh, that's good. Ooh, where did those words come from?" But there's no conceit in that, because I'm obviously sharing the words I'm meant to share. Lifequake, to unpick what wasn't me. I mean, Lifequake was a term I saw on Facebook a month or so ago, and I just saw that word and I thought, wow, that just explains, sadly, what has to happen to the majority of us to wake us up to our lives. And so if you have to have a lifequake to rewrite your old story and to liberate yourself, then, and I suppose what we share is our lifequake that supports people, and how we've got through it, and where we've got to, and how we've got there. And if there's anything within what we share that resonates, that you feel work for you, not everything we all share will resonate, but that's why it's so good to do the multi-author books like Gift of Wisdom and the new one that's coming up. It's why it's so good to have the multi-author, because they're different stories from different perspectives, different backgrounds, different cultures, different understandings. And people can do this without having to have a lifequake if they are open to it.
You're absolutely right. I wanted to make an observation while I had the three of you here. You were all three self-described shy, okay, as a young person, and now, and in the way you conducted your life and the way you've experienced your life, you're all three very shy, and yet, here you are, on multiple platforms, in multiple ways, with vulnerability, with truth, just telling everybody about you, so that everybody who's shy is not hiding in their room with the doors closed and the shades drawn. You have all been able to come out and give your message and share. And how does that happen? How does that lotus blossom blooming happen for each of you? How did that happen? I'm going to leave that answer a question right there because I have to go, but I want to say thank you.
Thank you, Scott. It's been a great pleasure
Thanks,
to meet you, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Yeah, Scott will have to listen to the replay to hear the answers.
Yes. Before we start with the answers, Marissa, yes, we can learn so much from one another when we truly listen to one another's perspective and an open mind and an open heart. 100%. So let's come to you first, Laurie, this time. So how did you get to the point where you were able to let go of that shyness? Although I have that feeling with all of us. It's right there and it's so deep rooted in us. But it's building that confidence to be able to not rise above it, I suppose, but come through it.
Well, it's been a gradual process for sure. But I think it's what we've been talking about. The more I've accepted who I really am, the less reason I have to be shy. And for example, Scott was talking about vulnerability. When I was younger, I thought I had to be perfect. So admitting any vulnerability was out of the question. And so I was hiding, I hid my pain, I hid my fear, I hid from everything. And now that I don't have to do that, it's a lot easier to come out and share. And the other thing, I just think it all goes back to what you said at the very beginning about connection. We're here for a reason, and part of that reason, at least, is to connect with one another. And you can't connect if you don't share your emotions. So,
yeah,
that's not really a strategy, but it's kind of the way it has happened for me, I think.
Thank you, Laurie. Janette.
Yeah, I think for me, I felt like I really didn't have a choice. I was being led to be more visible in the world, and to be my authentic self. So I didn't have to share in a way that maybe you would learn in school or whatever. I just had to be me. And the more I'm me, the better it is. And the more excited I am to share other things. Because at first, when I first started my business 10 years ago after I retired, I didn't even want my name on my business. I thought, it doesn't matter who's going to care about my little words. I was very self-deprecating, even though I was stepping more into the truth of who I was. And so that took about a year. And then I felt like, oh, I'm so brave. I put my name on my website. And almost every post I put my name. I usually do blessings of love, joy, and peace. Love, Janette. That's usually my MO. And it takes a long time to get there sometimes. And I'm so happy that I did, and that it's also a contagion for good, right? Like the more I can be me, it gives other people the permission to shine their light and be who they are, and like Laurie talked about the connection, we're all connected. And it's a wonderful public service to be who we truly are.
Oh, 100%. Marissa says, so true. You cannot connect if you don't share your emotions. I was really shut down as a teenager and young adult and had difficulty truly connecting with others until I was willing to heal from my past and share my emotions with others. And exactly, it took me a long time because, of course, with my story, it started so very young. At an age, you can't put a name to emotions. They were on feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You have no ability to be able to put words to it, to name it. And I've had those experiences where I've suddenly went, oh, I thought that was fear, and no, it's actually anticipation. It's something considerably more positive, and it's realizing that. But yes, it takes time. And I changed my name. That was another negative thing about it. Sort of, we can be really good at rejecting ourselves. Mm-hmm. In fact, to be very honest, most of us have never been rejected by others, in spite of that fact, how it feels. The only person that rejects us is when we don't listen to ourselves, when we don't care enough about ourselves, when we don't put ourselves first to keep us with that energy to be able to support others in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. We all realize that nobody could do my journey for me out of where I was. I had to do it myself. And I had people telling me, oh, Sarah, you must be depressed. You must be going through the menopause. You must be this, you must be that. Because I broke up my marriage, and it was just like, actually, no, I want to go and see a psychotherapist. I want to understand why I've been the way I've been. And I had the confidence to stand around and say, excuse me, I am not depressed. In fact, I am starting to be happier than I have ever been in my life, because now I have the confidence to turn around to you and say no. Mm-hmm. And it's not an easy place to be when you've always said yes. But what you realize is when you learn to say no, just like you said, Janette, you give others permission to do exactly the same. Everything we find the confidence to bring and to be true to ourselves, we give others permission to do the same. And it is only those people who really can't do it, that are jealous, are envious of our confidence in ourselves, that will project onto us how they are. And there are an awful lot of people who are sadly still extremely insecure in this world. Mm-hmm. And I hope that they will listen and they will realize that they don't have to be insecure. They don't have to be the way they are. They can grow through it. And it's not about changing. Mm-hmm. It's about growing. Mm-hmm. Rewriting our old stories. And I think we've actually covered that mm-hmm. quite broadly in the conversation. And we've talked about, therefore, liberating ourselves. It's about self-love, healing, creativity. Mm-hmm. I know we touched on daily practices at the beginning. Is there anything that you would like to share? I know we've still got a little bit of time, so I'm not going to hurry us through this. But is there anything that you'd like to share that you feel could support others, something that you do beyond what we've already talked about? So, Laurie.
So one of the things that I discovered when trying to shift some beliefs about myself is that, for me anyway, affirmations were not quite enough. I could change the negative statement to a positive statement, but if I didn't believe it, it didn't stick. And so I developed this practice of collecting evidence for the new belief. So, for example, if my belief was, I'm painfully shy and I don't connect well with others, I would keep in my little journal a kind of running list of the times when I did connect with people. And that would eventually build up over time so that I could say to myself, I connect with people in my own quiet way and believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And that would help me shift. So I don't know if it's, because I do have kind of a logical, linear mind that gets in my way a lot. I needed that. I needed the proof that what I was saying was real.
Thank you, Janette.
And Laurie, I think a lot of people do need that proof or the science behind it,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with the woo woo, and I'm like with Sara, I'm like out there, ooh, the angels and the stars and all the love and light and all of that. But Laurie, you had talked about the affirmations that they weren't quite cutting it, and I heard a thing called a bridge for the affirmations. So I write monthly affirmations for the Wellness Universe Angel Affirmations, and in there I say, it has to be like 50% believable, but you can build this bridge that instead of, saying something and you're not believing it, you can do this bridge that I am becoming a vibrational match to the abundance that's coming my way.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have 3 cents in your hand and you feel poor, you're not going to feel abundant by saying an affirmation
Mm-hmm.
of abundance, right? So like building that bridge, which I love that. And another thing is Sara had touched on how she has morning practices and evening practices, and I do too. One of the things that I love to do each night is take a bath. Epsom salts, that's, I probably do that 350 nights out of the year. Mm. And I love it. It is a way for me to signal to my body and brain that I'm shutting down for the day. Mm-hmm. And it helps me set the tone for a good night's sleep and a better day ahead. So I just wanted to put that out there in case somebody was looking for a tip that they might want to try. Mm-hmm. That, and it doesn't have to be a bath. It could be just a practice that you're ending the day with. When my sister and I were in Maui, we watched the sunset every night. Mm-hmm. And we were ready for bed early. We were early birds to bed, early up. But, it was so magical to watch the sunset. And that there's the science behind that, Laurie. You'll like this, that the colors of the red, orange, pinks, all of that like works scientifically with your body to like release all these hormones mm-hmm. that help you have a good night's sleep and increase your level of joy and contentment with the, I don't remember if it's serotonin, dopamine. I don't know. I'm just going to call it feel good hormones.
Right.
So, just to give yourself the pleasure of an evening practice to end your day on a good note. So that's my little tip.
I love that idea of the bridges also. That sounds really powerful.
Great.
Now, I've found with affirmations, I've had to say them for years on a daily basis. I suddenly remembered, I had one, I am special, I love me. Okay, fine. When I started saying that, I did not believe it. Mm-hmm. And then one day, I suddenly thought about it and I thought, do you know what? I actually do believe it now. But it took years. I mean, I'm not saying it within 5 minutes. And when I was working with a client, the words came to me. I'm not a hear voices, see things type of person, but the words were just there. I am the love of my life. Mm. And I knew that they were not just for me, they were for my client and for everybody else in the world. And so you may not believe it to start with, but it's a daily basis thing for me. Yeah. And I really do. But one of the things I suppose I encouraged myself to do was to do new things, to do different things, to have experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do that by halves. I did start with an abseil off a water tower locally. I then decided I was going to go to Romania and track wolves and lynx in the Carpathians for 2 weeks with the Carpathian Large Carnivore Project. Not to kill, I wouldn't have anything to do with that. I adore wolves. I became a trainee handler at the UK Wolf Conservation Trust. I've flown a helicopter. I've done the zip wire. I've climbed the 3 highest mountains in the UK.
Wow.
I took a small group of us over with a couple of adults with learning difficulties to the US for 3 weeks, where we spent a week with the Nez Perce Indians in Idaho, and we got down to Yellowstone Park as well. I have made a point of doing things different. Some of them are little. Friend gave me a present of, I always wanted to go and throw a pot and sort of make some pottery, and I got to do it. So it doesn't have to be the big things. It is so much about throw yourself outside your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, your comfort zone is outside of you. It's actually coming back into yourself and learning to trust and believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And as sort of Marissa says, sometimes we need to say no to others so we can say yes to ourselves. 100%. Maybe the practice has to be, I am going to say yes to me.
Mm-hmm.
So live your life. Don't let anybody. When I told my mother I was going to abseil off the water tower, she's like, it's my life, you know. And so, and I did it twice.
Wow. Good for you.
So it's try different things. I would never bungee jump. I really wouldn't.
You draw the line there.
Yes, absolutely. That's a step too far. But if you don't live your life while you can, say yes to the experiences that speak to you. Even if it's only once a year, do something you've never done before, whatever that might be. And give yourself a story to tell about the things that you've done. That's the thing to do. And yes, it may be uncomfortable. I went to Egypt on my own for 2 weeks, 10 days. And I eventually got to see the dolphins in the wild. But that was my 50th birthday present to myself. It was only on my second visit to Egypt with the family that I actually took myself to Cairo, where I got to see the pyramids and the Sphinx and went into the museum in Cairo. But again, I did that on my own. Give yourself the confidence to live your life, and don't take any notice of those people saying, but you can't be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Our monkey minds are quite good enough at doing that.
That's right.
Yeah. And I love that, Sarah, to give ourselves permission to live our life. I'm not going to live Laurie's life or your life. I'm going to live my life. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And sort of with this current book, and sort of somebody was saying to me only today, oh no, but you usually should do it this way, and you should do it that way, and you should do it the other way. And it was just like, yeah, I'm a bit of a rebel. For a long time, I've done it my way. And it has to be. Why should we stick to what everybody says is the thing to do, the way to do it?
I love that, Sarah. I love the way you're doing this book. It's so liberating to not have a bunch of rules and prescriptions, and to be able to, pull together all these people to tell their stories, and then to have these conversations. I just love the fact that you're doing that. And I agree. I don't do things other people's way. That's why I'm going to publish my own book, at my age, I'm not waiting around for somebody to decide whether they like it and, all of that stuff. If I believe in it, I'm going to put it out there. And I think when we do that, we really are liberating ourselves. I feel more free now than I've ever felt before.
Yeah, I agree.
By being true to ourselves, we do free ourselves. As I said, for years, I haven't done, the way I started these programs, the way I do this, the way I share things is totally different. No, you should do this. No, that does not resonate with me. I am going to do it my way. When it came to the audios of the new book that is going to be coming out, I asked all the authors to read their own stories. And I'm not worried about the odd little hiccup or whatever, the blip in it. It's human being reading their own story. It's not about perfection. In the telling of our stories, with different cultures, different countries, different upbringings, we've got to tell it in our own words. Please write as you speak. And some people might struggle with that, but we've shared, and it's so much easier to read if we've written as we speak. So I am so grateful. Right, we're coming to the end very quickly, so I can rest this and mute myself. Share if there's something we haven't touched on that you'd like to share, then please do. So, Laurie.
I think the last thing that I want to touch on is what you were talking about earlier about channeling. So a long time ago, I heard Wayne Dyer speak at a Hay House conference. And he talked about how he was writing a book, and all he did was sit there in a chair. He was in Hawaii, outside in a beautiful surroundings. And he said, it flowed through me. It just flowed through me. It was not my words. And that's what I try to do now. I'm not as good at connecting as it sounds like you are, but my best writing comes when I can put my ego out of the way and let it come through me. And I think it's hard for us as human beings to let our egos go, but it's great practice.
Janette.
I don't know if I have anything else to add. It's been so good. Wow. So empowering. And thank you, Marisa and Leah, for being here and putting your comments in. And I just think it was a powerful conversation.
Oh, absolutely. It really has been a powerful conversation. And why is this frozen? Sorry, I was going to say what's going to happen next week, only I can't at the moment because it's frozen on me. Okay. Anyway, oh, there it is. It's moved. Oh, no, it hasn't. Yes, it has. I love technology.
Yes.
I have a love-hate relationship. Oh, Jody, thank you.
Oh, Jody.
Well.
Hi, Jody.
I'd like to say a massive thank you to both Laurie and Janette. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for those of you that have been watching us live as well. That's a point. I was going to put these into the chat. That's Laurie's and Janette's websites. If I can do it, I'm having a little. There we go. Oh, I'm having technical. Oh, right. I don't know what's going on here with my computer. Bless its cotton socks. Right. I'm having fun with this. I do apologize, folks. We will get there. There we go. With luck, they should both be up there. If you're watching the replay, through YouTube, I have put their website addresses under the YouTube video. If you feel like connecting with any of us, and that includes Scott, his will go up there, and so will mine as well. Please do connect with us. Check the website. There's the ability to connect with each of us on our websites. So please do reach out to us. We're here to support. That's why we do what we do. So a massive thank you to both of you. Next week, I am being joined by a lady called Robin Harris. Robin is going to be talking about taking back your power, a wild approach to well-being. And I can't remember what the wild stood for. And I apologize, this is hay fever, folks. And I think it's telling me it's time to shut up. Take care, be safe, stay well. It's been wonderful to have you all here tonight, because it's night for me. And I'll see you all again soon. Namaste, sweet souls. Bye.